Hi, my name is Lucy Gould. I'm 19 years old and I'm a number 2 mechanic at Rodin Motorsport. My job consists of helping the number 1 mechanics with the prep of the cars, as well as things like tyres and fueling. I would definitely like to work in Formula 1 someday. I'm not going to rush the journey to get there though. I really enjoy working in junior series at the moment and I'm learning so much. But I would love to go to Formula 1 as a mechanic and then hopefully progress from there. I'm not quite sure what role I want to end up doing yet, but I'm always willing to try different things and really enjoy learning new skills. My grandfather had a huge role to play in my journey into motorsport. So he builds and races his own classic cars, specifically Alfa Romeos, and him and my grandmother always watched Formula 1. So whenever we went round to their house, it would always be on the TV. So my mum and my dad kind of got into it through that, and that's where I found my love for it as well. And as I got a bit older, I started to venture into watching other racing series like F2, F3, some F4 championships, IndyCar, and that's where I found my love for it. And I knew that I definitely wanted to work in the industry. I just wasn't sure what role. And I stumbled across a course in mechanics at the National College for Motorsport in Silverstone and decided that that was what I wanted to do. So I applied, got in, and attended for about 6 weeks until I got offered a job at the end of my work experience week with Rodin Motorsport. So if it wasn't for the college or my family, I wouldn't be in the job that I am now. I actually started by doing some post-season testing in 2022 with our British F4 team, and I really enjoyed being a part of that. And at the start of 2023, it was announced that Rodin Motorsport were going to be doing Spanish F4, and I was put into that team, and I really enjoyed my first season of motorsport there. So at the start of this year, 2024, I continued to be a part of that team and loved it. But I was also part of the female trainee initiative with F1 Academy through Rodin. So I got to go to all the F1 Academy events, which was really cool because obviously it's part of the F1 support package. So I got to go to so many different countries, meet some really cool people, and I really enjoyed doing that as well. So it was a busy year doing 2 championships, but I wouldn't change it. Sometimes it is difficult being a female in a male-dominated industry like the motorsport industry, but I've really enjoyed being a part of it. I wouldn't say there's been any bad experiences. Everyone's always treated me with kindness and respect, but it is difficult sometimes when you say, are there any obstacles that I've kind of faced as a female in a male-dominated industry? I think one of the biggest ones is obviously I can't lift as heavy as the majority of the men can, but that's just little things that I have to work on. But I have so much support from all of my team, so I wouldn't say I've had any obstacles that I haven't been able to overcome. So it's definitely a viable and suitable career option for females. It shouldn't just be a male-dominated industry. It's different for each team, each championship, each car, as everyone works a little bit differently. But normally the number 1 mechanic is obviously in charge of the car, and they divide out the jobs between the people working on the car, so normally the number 1 and the number 2. But with the F4 car, my roles were normally cleaning out the radiators, changing the air filters, helping with taking the gearbox off and putting it back on again, putting the floors on. But it kind of changes depending on the day, how much work there is. If there's been a crash, it could be, you know, taking the corners off and replacing them. So it really depends on each mechanic, each car. But there's always stuff to be doing, and there's always stuff to learn as well if it's a bit of a quieter day or a quieter test. A typical race day for me as a number 2 in F1 Academy. We would turn up in the morning of the race and we would fire up the cars and check that they're all good. So I'd pop the fuel in the cars for that. And then I would help with packing the trolleys to take to the grid to make sure we have all our equipment, as our garages are not in the pit lane, so we don't want to leave anything behind just in case we need it. So it's taking all our tools with us, as well as spare tyres in case we get a puncture, or wet tyres if it rains. And then we would head over to the pit lane maybe half an hour before our race, and all the trolleys would go first and then the cars would be released. And I'd normally stay with our chief mechanic to make sure the cars will go away safely. And then it'll be a case of changing our tyres in the pit lane, ready to start the race. And then the cars are released. We go to the grid and we wait, and they have the grid walks. And then it's time for us to go about 3 minutes before. And I take the trolley off the grid and get ready in the pit lane to go for the race. And we have to make sure we've got our helmets on, gloves on, just in case we have to do a pit stop. And then for the duration of the race, I'm on the pit wall with the pit board, making sure the driver knows how many laps we've got left, what the fastest lap time is, what position they're in. And then after the race, hopefully we're on the podium. So we go down to the podium ceremony and celebrate as a team. And then it's a case of coming back afterwards, waiting until parc fermé is over, and then prepping the cars, either ready for another race or ready to go back in the boxes to go and be shipped to a different country and a different circuit for the next race weekend. Obviously, F4 cars are a lot smaller and a lot less technologically advanced than F1 cars. So both mechanics on the cars normally cover all areas, not just maybe engine or gearbox like you would in F1. So we have to be able to try and fix any problem on the cars, not just one specific area. I absolutely love working at Rodin Motorsport. I haven't had any bad experiences, and everyone's super supportive and respectful, and I really enjoy working with everyone. We always have a good time in the circuit and outside of the circuit, and I mean, you're a travelling family, and I see my colleagues more than I see my family, I think. So it's really nice that we all get along together and we can all, you know, go out of an evening and have dinner and spend time with each other. So I really enjoy working there. It's a great atmosphere. The drivers definitely work with their race engineers more than the mechanics, but in regards to seat fits and pedals and making sure all of that's okay, the drivers always speak to the mechanics, the same with their seat belts. And all the drivers that we work with are super friendly, so they come in the morning, they say hello, we all get along, so that's really nice. It's nice to feel part of a team and kind of one big family. Being able to deal with pressure is obviously a big part of the job. It can be stressful sometimes if maybe you've had a crash and you have to prepare the car quickly for the next time they're out on track. But everybody works really well together, and we all support each other and motivate each other so that the car can get back out on track on time. But it can be quite stressful sometimes, and there's a lot of pressure, but it's even more rewarding when the car goes out there and gets in the points or wins the race or gets on the podium. It's a big sigh of relief, and everybody always feels super happy after that. It's always nice to have a little reward with a podium or some points. A few of my favourite memories are winning our first race in Spanish F4 this year. That was super exciting as a team, and also winning the championship in F1 Academy. That was really cool. All nice moments as a team where we all celebrated. And something that was a bit out of the ordinary for me was taking part in an Extreme E weekend last year in Chile. That was also really cool, and super different from anything that I was used to. My top tips for young women wanting to get into the industry is obviously try and get some work experience. That's a really key part, especially for me. That's how I got my job, was through work experience. So get in contact with lots of different teams of all different levels and ask if you can do a few days of work experience with them. Try and get your foot in the door. Contact loads of people in the industry. LinkedIn's a really good resource for that, and try and get your name out there. If you can go to a college like I did, like the National College for Motorsport, and I know there are some other courses out there as well, obviously that's not an option for everybody, but if it is, and that's something that you can do, definitely go for that. But just work hard. If you love it and it's a really big passion of yours, don't give up on it. Don't listen to people who tell you that it's not something that you can do. I believe that anybody can do anything that they set their mind to. And yeah, keep persevering. And I'm more than happy to give any advice to anybody who is looking for some help of getting into the industry. Inclusivity and diversity are obviously big subjects in the world of motorsport at the moment, with initiatives like F1 Academy, or F1 Academy's own kind of initiative, Discover Your Drive, which is helping get young girls into karting and motorsport at grassroots levels. And that's really exciting. So hopefully in 10 years we'll have a lot more female drivers. And there are also initiatives such as Girls on Track, which are kind of supporting the involvement of women in motorsport in all different types of roles. So that's really exciting. That's not just for women that want to drive, but maybe want to work in engineering or mechanics. So I think it's a big discussion at the moment, inclusivity and diversity. And I think big changes are happening and a lot of barriers are being broken down. So I'm really excited to see more diversity in the future. Motorsport is definitely an unsociable career choice, but don't let that put you off. It is definitely tricky sometimes being away from home a lot. You miss out on, some family events, and if you're away for like a triple header, it can be difficult sometimes to go for a long period of time without seeing loved ones and family and friends. But I find it a really rewarding career and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. Super excited to see the future of F1 Academy and their Discover Your Drive initiative. I think it's a really big time at the moment for women in motorsport and diversity in motorsport in general. So I look forward to seeing how all of that turns out, and I wish it the best. And I think it's got a lot of really important people and groups and companies backing it at the moment, especially with all 10 Formula One teams. So I think that it's got a really bright future ahead of it, and I look forward to following its journey.